Welcome into the Alabama Football Report. I am your host, Chris Daughtery. We've got some major injury news that Kalen Deboer put out there today during the SEC Teleconference, the first SEC Teleconference of the season. And this is why you guys should subscribe right here to the Alabama Football Report. Every single time there's breaking news, whether it's week 1 or week 10, we have you guys covered, even the offseason as well with some recruiting stuff. So do not miss out. Make sure you guys are subscribed. We've got some fun things cooked up for you guys this week, as well as our watch party. It's always free right here at the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. All right, the first little bit of injury news today is on Tim Kennan. He is going to be questionable for the Crimson Tide's game against Florida State coming up this weekend. This is what Kalen Deboer had to say on Tim Kennan's injury. He said it's yet to be determined, probably not, but we'll see. He had a lower body injury. Again, it's a lot to figure out after practicing, gathering information, still in the moment with that right now. He's just trying to understand exactly where he's at. So Kalen Deboer didn't really give us any kind of details exactly besides the fact that it is a lower body injury right now for Tim Kennan. So we don't know how bad it is. We don't know how long he's going to be out. If it's something that maybe they could get him back for this game, who knows? The Alabama, strength and conditioning and, all those guys and girls there, doing that job. They do a phenomenal job. So we'll see if Tim Kennan is able to actually get back for this game against Florida State this weekend. But you're going to need some guys to step up. You got Jeremiah Beeman and James Smith, but, they're a little bit different body types than Tim Kennan. They're not normally there specifically at that nose guard spot. So maybe London Simmons is a guy that can step up for you. Maybe even Steve Mboumoua is another guy that could step up for you. Kelby Collins, I just don't think is big enough to play technically there at that nose guard spot. So we'll see who ends up making that spot there for Tim Kennan if he's not able to go against Florida State this weekend. So how worried are you about this Tim Kennan injury? Let me know what you guys think down at the pinned comment of today's video. Scale it for me 1 to 10. 1, you think there's no chance he ends up going in this game against Florida State. All the way to 10, you actually got that backwards. 1, you think he will go against Florida State. Or 10, you think there's no shot he ends up going against Florida State. And you guys are absolutely freaking out about that. Let me know what you guys think down inside the comment section at the pinned comment of today's video. All right, so Tim Kennan is your, major run stuffer here for Alabama, and I think it's going to be hard to be able to replace him. Like we said, we don't know the severity of it right now, but I'll be honest, when I'm scaling it 1 to 10, I'm probably like an 8 right now because I just don't know exactly who is going to be that guy that's going to be able to replace him because, when it comes to plays going right up the middle, Tim Kennan stops him. He had 22 stops last year in the run game, and, he does some good things in pass rush as well, but, man, stopping the run is really what Tim Kennan does a really good job at. This is what Kane Womack said about Alabama's defensive line depth and which guys, might be able to step up for you. He said this a couple of weeks ago. He said Isaia Faga is doing a really good job. You're seeing some things from London Simmons is improving as well. Steve Mboumoua is also improving. So it's nice to see some guys that maybe you thought might be a little ways away that might have a role for us at some point throughout the season. That is encouraging. And when you talk about, they might have a role later on in the season, they might end up having a bigger role during the season here early on in the season. I think London Simmons is a guy that I am super excited about. You look at his recruiting profile and, not the highest ranked recruit at all, 513 overall, number 59 defensive lineman. But I think you have seen that this Alabama coaching staff does a really, really good job at evaluating talent. You see some of the guys that are in this 2026 recruiting class just absolutely going off in high school football right now. I don't know if you guys saw the Javarie Barnett highlights. He went for like 16 carries, 181 yards, and he was the 3-star. So, I'm sure he's going to go up in the rankings. And London Simmons, we've said it a bunch. I think he's a diamond in the rough as well. He did a lot of things his senior year. He lost a lot of weight just to be able to get into actually good playing shape. His teammates, in high school talked about the fact that he was in the gym, 3-4 hours a day, just running up and down the court, just playing pick-out basketball. And you can see in the results right there in his senior season, 27 tackles for loss and 11 sacks as well. I think London Simmons might be a guy that can step up along the interior of that defensive line for the Crimson Tide. So what defensive lineman do you want to see step up against Florida State? Let me know what you guys think down inside the comments section of today's video. There's definitely a couple of options, but I think London Simmons might be one. Maybe even Isaia Faga as well. Maybe even Steve Mboumoua. But London Simmons is definitely a guy that excites me. And, Mboumoua has played in JUCO already, so he does have a little bit of playing experience. His body is a little bit more developed as well. So we'll see, but let me know what you guys think down inside the comments section. All right, we'll continue on with another injury update here in just a second, but today's show is brought to you guys by PrizePicks. Football is almost here, and college football is officially back, so don't miss any of the action this season on PrizePicks. I personally use PrizePicks for a ton of different types of sporting events, whether it's professional football, basketball, baseball, college sports, MMA, boxing, and so much more. PrizePicks is a ton of fun, and if you guys know ball, you can win real money all season long on PrizePicks. This is our power play that we got cooked up for you guys coming up this weekend for the first set of real games anyways. Week 1 officially of college football. Going with Arch Manning, 1.5 passing touchdowns. Going with the more than on that against Ohio State. And then Isaiah Horton only needs a half touchdown, whether it's rushing or receiving. He's done a lot of really good stuff during Alabama's spring, summer, and fall. So I went with a more than on that as well. And then also went with a more than on Ryan Williams there as well for our power play. But PrizePicks also invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out on your lineup if it is not perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks does not hit. PrizePicks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money today. So download the PrizePicks app and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That link is down in the description of today's video. It's also down at the pinned comment of today's video as well. It's PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, another little bit of injury news. Nothing real super new here on Jaden Roberts. He is still, unfortunately, going to be questionable with that concussion that he suffered. Now, going on, a week and a half, 2 weeks now with Jaden Roberts going through that concussion protocol. So, as we'll talk about in a second, just these constant injuries for Jaden Roberts just really does worry me because, man, he is a guy that when he is out there, when he is healthy, he plays at a very, very high level. I love the fact that Jaden Roberts is a guy that, when he is healthy and is out there, he's a mauler on the football field. And, just unfortunately in the last 2 seasons, we have not been able to consistently have him out there along the offensive line. But Alabama does have some good depth along the offensive line, that interior of the offensive line. So we'll talk about that here in just a second as well. But let me know down inside the comment section what you guys think. Give me a prediction down there. Will Jaden Roberts play against Florida State? I'm kind of leaning no at this point, but let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Type Y for yes or N for no. All right, as of right now, if I'm making a prediction, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say Geno Vandermark is going to be the guy at that right guard spot for the Crimson Tide. I think with this injury to Jaden Roberts, Cam Dewberry is pretty much all but locked up that left guard spot. Maybe Ola Salinen can help there as well, if he's not what we all think he can be, but, he's a guy that has a lot of experience and, in SEC play, but he hasn't been able to stay on the field either. So there's still some question marks at both of these guard spots now for the Crimson Tide. If there's any kind of promise, I think there's been a lot of consistency from Geno Vandermark. So if he is your guy indeed there at that right guard spot, I am pretty comfortable with Geno Vandermark at this point. This is what Kalen Deboer said during the SEC teleconference about Jaden Roberts. He said he's been practicing, but he's very limited. He's making some progress, but it's slow and steady. I know this has been going on for a couple of weeks now, and so there's just a lot of the same at this point, so nothing more than that, really. Like I said a second ago, this one with these constant injuries with Jaden Roberts just really does worry me. I think he is a guy that, you can't rush when it comes to these concussions. There's some injuries that you can battle through, and I don't want anybody out there to question Jaden Roberts' toughness. He battled through a lot of different stuff last year, and unfortunately, this is just not a thing that you can really rush. Concussions are a very, very major thing. You've seen a lot of players out there who, had multiple concussions during their college football career and, had to call it a career and, weren't able to go off to the NFL. And Jaden Roberts is a guy that, when he's out there and he's playing healthy, he's an early day 2 draft pick at the very best, really at the very worst. Like the talent is undeniable for Jaden Roberts. I think he's a really, really good player, but these injuries just continue to mount. And, Geno Vandermark is going to have to be the guy that steps up for Alabama. Maybe you could also have a guy like Ola Salinen step up for you as well. Michael Carroll is also another option. I know he's been kind of working at that tackle spot, but, long term, I think Michael Carroll is going to end up being one of those offensive guards for Alabama. So we'll see what happens. If it's up to me right now, Geno Vandermark, if I'm making a prediction, he's going to be the starter there for Alabama at that right guard spot. And, last year, I kind of picked on him a little bit early on when he was, when he was going in for Jaden Roberts. I didn't think he was as good as, maybe we expected him to be. But, man, he really did step up, and he played really, really well last year for the Crimson Tide when he was stepping in for Jaden Roberts. So, we'll see what happens here. It didn't give up any sacks last year. Gave up a couple hits, a couple pressures, but I think just going into this year, he is a guy that the coaching staff is really, really comfortable with. And, hopefully they can go out there and they can actually have some continuity there along the offensive line, because just the constant shuffling in and out last year did not help anything. And, I think at that quarterback position, you've got a guy that can process things a little bit faster as well. So we'll see what happens with Jaden Roberts and that right guard spot for Alabama. But the major news right now, Tim Kennan also questionable to go against Florida State.